you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There, ladies and gentlemen, it's official. Welcome to the show. We certainly appreciate having you guys for over 16 years, and 2,200 episodes are going on now. The Chris Voss Show has been here, and hopefully it'll be here for another 16 and, I don't know, probably thousands of more episodes the way we're pacing at this point. So refer the show to your family, friends, or relatives, or else don't make me come over there. Don't make me pull the car over and come back there, kids. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Today we have an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about his business insights, his entrepreneurism, things you can learn from him, because that's why we have guests on the show, eh? Do you understand that? Has that been clear for 16 years? We have these amazing guests so you can learn their stories, their amazing journeys through life. Robert Steele joins us. He's the CEO of Thumzup. Which is built as an Uber for advertising. It's just about time. I've been using taxis for advertising all this time, and now there's an Uber. And it just went public just a couple weeks ago before Thanksgiving on the NASDAQ with stock symbol TZUP. Robert is an experienced tech entrepreneur, and Thumzup is in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. It makes it easier for a brand or business to pay people cash to tell their friends about their business on their personal social media. Maybe we should do that too. We should tell some people about this podcast. Anyway, welcome to the show. How are you, Robert?
I'm doing great. I'm still smiling from your intro about guests so smart that you may get a brain bleed. That's quite an image there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the brain bleed is what it's all about. It gives you that Chris Voss Show glow. It's hemorrhaging as well, but that's another story. But it's in the disclaimer. I think everything's covered legally. So, Robert, give us a 30,000 overview of what you guys do there at Thumzup.
Yeah, so we think of Thumzup as like Uber for advertising. So just like Uber was able to make it really easy for anybody to make a little extra money driving people around, and just like how Airbnb made it easy for anybody to make a little extra money renting a room, that's what we're doing. Is we're making it easy for people to make a little extra money telling their friends about brands and businesses that they love on their personal social media. So if you think about it today, you're going to interact with probably more than a dozen brands, from the shoes you wear to the car you might drive, what you have for lunch. So imagine if a significant amount of those businesses and brands were willing to pay you to just make a social media post about them. We think that is the future of advertising. When you personally tell your friends you like something, that's the most powerful form of advertising.
And how do you bridge the gap between, we've seen paid Amazon reviews get out of hand. How do you enforce the integrity of maybe some of the reviews?
Oh, brilliant question. Yes. Mm-hmm. We actually use the law as the guideline. Oh. So our users have agreed, like when you download an app, you agree to the terms and services. So in our terms of service, our users are agreeing to obey the law. So actually there is an organization called the Federal Trade Commission that has rules about this. And so their main rule that they use, that we teach and educate our community on, is that you have to have experienced the Thumzup brand or business in order to receive payment to tell your friends about it on social media. Mm-hmm. So you can't just, so for instance, what will happen is that we started off near the beach in Los Angeles, Venice Beach. Mm-hmm. And so we have a very high concentration of small businesses in that area from launching there. Oh, wow. So what happens in LA is if your pizza shop or your coffee shop or your boutique signs up on the Thumzup platform, generally within about an hour, one of our users is going to come by and experience your business and make a post. But what happens, Chris, is that people will do it at night. Like, so new users that don't understand what's going on, they hear about Thumzup. Oh, wow, I can make some money. They'll go by, the coffee shop at, 10 p.m. It's closed. The lights are off, and they'll take a photo or a video of it and post that. Well, they don't get paid for that. And then we have a community manager team that communicates with them and says, thank you for downloading Thumzup, but you have to have experienced the product. So we have a review process where, we're making a judgment that they either have or have not experienced the product. And then many of our advertisers just that outright require a purchase. Okay. So our users not going to get paid for their social media posts unless they present a receipt digitally. And that totally solves the problem of making sure people aren't abusing, what we're set up to do.
And there were a lot of apps that kind of did stuff for advertising. What was the app back in the day that you could be the mayor of your city if you did check-ins? Foursquare?
I think that was Foursquare, yes.
Was it Foursquare?
Mm-hmm.
So many, I don't even know where they're at now. I think someone bought them. But there was kind of a bonus sort of, it wasn't really a payment, but it was, you had to brag to people you were the mayor of your local grocery store. Ooh. But people did it. People would game. It was gamified basically. So people would gamify. Would you call this gamifying advertising for social media?
Yes and no. Okay, so we think part of the story here that your audience will be interested in is that they can get paid. So we think there's a shift in society where there's a large amount of people, gig economy workers, they want to have multiple streams of income. They don't want to have a traditional office job. So that's part of the trend that we're onto is, so a lot of our users are realtors, or they're driving for Uber, or they're doing graphic design on Fiverr or Upwork, and we're just giving them one more easy way for them to get paid. So we think from the days of Foursquare that the user intent has changed, and people, in 2024, I think there's a larger consciousness of what's in it for me, which we think is okay because we think we can ride that wave. But then, yes, we are gamifying. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we are public. So I have to be careful about what I say about the future, but don't be surprised if you see things in the Thumzup app, like a leaderboard where we show you, who made the most money today, who made the most money this week, so we definitely intend on making it fun. It's our users are having fun, our advertisers are having fun. So this is intended to be fun, but it's also intended to be profitable. So we have users right now that are making more than $1,000 a month. The CBS station in Los Angeles, they did a piece on us a little while back, and the commentators in the studio were amazed to hear that people are making more than $1,000 a month posting on Thumzup.
It's been interesting. It used to be on YouTube. Like, we used to review a lot of products on YouTube for companies, and the grift was we'd get the grift. The grift was we get. I'm just going to use that word. Fuck it. That we would, they give us. We get like a free product, and a lot of times it was just like not worth it. But we would make money off of YouTube advertising, and so it was kind of like the companies were getting a free ride for a long time, where they were, riding that wave, and then. I think it was COVID, things kind of fell apart. You couldn't get product. A lot of the supply chains were fucked up. I mean, if you had chips in your product, it was kind of a problem to produce it for a while there. But there was kind of this weird way that I used to look at it and just go, this is kind of fucked up, because these companies really get a free ride. I mean, they're right off the advertising. Whatever the product is, they're writing it off, and of course they made it for probably pennies on the dollar compared to what their retail is. Like, I would sometimes have a company go, we're not going to send you a $450 thing. If you make it for $200 in China, give me a fucking break. You're not losing $450, you're losing $250. But you're writing it all off as advertising. But it was weird because they wouldn't really pay for the stuff. It was really YouTube that was paying for the stuff in our advertising. And of course that went away as YouTube transferred from something that was, ergonomically you could get on the leaderboard based upon what people liked in your videos, and they really started selling the advertising. If you wanted to, they basically started selling the trending. And so now you see like TikTok, where a lot of people are getting paid by brands, and they're on their TikTok channel doing advertising live, and And it's kind of interesting to watch because some of them are like, how do you make money on something that's $5 or something? There's a lot of cheap junk over there on TikTok. And yeah, it seems like the thing to do. I mean, I've been, writing reviews on companies that I love without getting paid. I don't really mind so much, but there's some people that if you want to put in the work and really advertise the company, we see that going on TikTok right now. The people are doing a lot of work actually, and they're making some really good money.
Thumzup is designed to be easier than that. This is kind of like it's the opposite of an impulse purchase. It's an impulse makes money. Okay, so for instance, here in Los Angeles, there's a coffee shop down the street called La Frenchy Cafe. So one morning, I just needed a cup of coffee, Chris, and I actually forgot they were an advertiser in my app. And I'm standing in line. The woman in front of me orders a latte. I say, "Pardon me, do you use Instagram?" She says, "Yes." I said, "See that sign on the counter? This coffee shop will pay you $10 to share a photo of your latte with your friends on Instagram." And before I even finished the sentence, she pulled her phone out of her purse, points the phone camera at the counter, and she makes her $10. Back this is a year ago, so the latte was $4. Now it's $6, but she's still ahead. She made money on the trade, and the reason why that's so powerful is because there's another woman that does not know that lady. They're not friends. They're not friends on social media. Another lady says to me, Robert, I just found my new favorite coffee shop called La Frenchy Cafe. And she says, I didn't even know it was there. I've lived in the neighborhood for years until I saw someone post about it on Instagram. So that's the magic here that, when you go out on the street, what are people doing? They've all got their face in their phone. So for the small business owner, if they don't have a way to get a social media presence, then people in their own neighborhood don't even know they're there. So in that story, the reason, so the woman liked the coffee shop, but until she heard that she could make $10, she wasn't going to take her time to promote it. And then when she did choose to take a moment to promote it, it literally took a moment. And that's what we're up to. Whereas the person that's making money on TikTok today, that takes a lot more effort than this. This is a more casual experience. Now, they're not going to make as much money on Thumzup as they might make being a professional influencer on TikTok, but it's better than none.
That's true. And most people aren't going to do the TikTok thing. They have real jobs, I guess.
Exactly. That's our audience.
And some of the people, they have to stand there for hours on live TikTok, hustling shit. It's a real hard sales game. I don't think a lot of people are up for that sort of sales. And you're putting yourself out there and you're getting all sorts of people throwing crap at you in their comments. But no, I like this idea because it's much more simpler. And there's a couple brands that I really love that I talk ad nauseum about. Like, I think some of the people on Facebook are like, okay, enough about your local farm, man. It was cute for a while, but, enough already. But, if you love a brand and they make great stuff, I like to champion them. And I think most people do. Somebody goes above board on quality product or quality of service, et cetera, et cetera. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you grow up? Where did you get the entrepreneur bug from? And what was some of your journey that got you to this point?
Sure. My dad was in the Air Force, so I moved a lot as a kid, almost every year of elementary school. So that forces you to make friends fast. And, I was a computer geek from a very early age. I had a life experience. It was kind of like something out of a movie. When I was in fourth grade in Maryland, one of my neighbors, this is the 70s. One of my neighbors had a mainframe computer in his basement in a single family home. Wow. And I was a kid, so I don't know why or how, but this was very unusual. And he worked from home. Wow. And he lived like 3 doors down from me. Literally, when I was 8 or 9 years old, I'd go over there every day after school. And so I learned to program a computer very, very early, very young. Wow. And, that has a life impact. And then the second thing that happened to me that really put me on my entrepreneurial journey was because I did have some skill as essentially a child, right when the microcomputer thing was taken off, I was invited to a trade show in Boston when I was 14 years old to man a booth, because I knew what I was talking about as a kid. And so I got paid to go exhibit in this booth in the early 80s. And Steve Wozniak, there were two founders of Apple Computer, both Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. So Steve Wozniak walks by my booth. I'm 14 years old. And I said, "Hey, Steve, how you doing?" And he starts talking to me. And I said, "Do you have time for lunch?" So he was 28, I was 14. Apple had just had the biggest IPO in the history of NASDAQ. And he took time to have lunch with a 14-year-old kid. Wow. That changed my life, because here I was, because he really was, he was my rock star, and to be able to sit with your rock star, for an hour and chat with him. And, and I got the bug. I was like, he can do it. I can do it. So I've started several technology companies and it's been a good ride.
I mean, you caught the perfect timing of that rise of computing and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. And Steve's a really nice guy. I've talked with him privately. He just seems like a really down-to-earth, nice guy. But yeah. And so how long ago did you start this new venture?
Thumzup formed in October 2020. Mm-hmm. So that's when we started building the technology. And then our first client, we launched in Venice Beach, January 2023. Again, we think of ourselves similar to Uber. So in the beginning, it takes time to get this off the ground, because think about the early days of Uber, that if you'd ordered a ride and no one showed up, then you tell all your friends it stinks. Okay, so in the beginning of this type of thing, we have to have a good experience for both sides of our community. We have to have a good experience for the advertisers. We have to have a good experience for the users. So the way you do that is what Uber did, is you just focus on a small area first, and you get dominance and density in a small area. So for us, that was Venice Beach in early 2023. So right now, today, if you go to Venice Beach, there's 30 places on the boardwalk that'll pay you to post. So you can have a burrito at Lit Burritos. You can have pina colada at Bell's Beach House. So people do a treasure hunt. They'll go to Venice Beach and they'll just stop at all the Thumzup advertisers and get paid to post. It's a lot of fun. So that density gave our advertisers a good experience, because they had enough users coming and participating. Then we expanded in 2024 to Greater Los Angeles. So we've got advertisers in Santa Clarita. We got advertisers down in Orange County. We've got advertisers out to the east in Monrovia. And then right now, what I'm focused on, Chris, is since we just IPO'd, we raised $8 million. So now we're rolling it out in Miami. There's worse places that someone could have to work. So I'll be spending some time in Miami in the new year.
That sounds really rough, dude. If you need help with that, let me know. I'll go. There's a lot of clubs in Miami that probably need to be recruited for this app, so I'll try to help out there.
Yeah.
That any place there's good food, which is, I think, pretty much everywhere. So looking at the app, now the brands, we should probably talk about that too, because the people listening not only can be the consumers who are utilizing the brands, but the brands have their own sort of back end as well. Tell us how that works for brands that are out there that might be listening.
Sure. So, for instance, we have a Brazilian soda in the app. So they're in Whole Foods and Vaughn's and Ralph's and Trader Joe's here on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. So what they did to be in the app is they go on our website, thumbsupmedia.com, and they purchase a campaign. So the first thing they pick is how much they want to pay people to post. So right now they pay people $10 to post. Then they pick how many posts they want to load up. So they pay $10, bought 100 posts. So 10 times 100 is $1,000. And then we put 30% on that. So we charge their credit card $1,300. So $300 is our money for the use of the platform, the community. And then the $1,000 stays in the system until 100 posts get made. Then the 101st attempt to make a post for Soda Bossa in that example, they get a message in the app that says this campaign's been so popular, please try again later. And then Soda Bossa gets an email where it says, click here to renew. We see people want to tell their friends about your product. Why don't you buy some more posts? So for the advertiser, that's really simple. It takes 3 or 4 minutes for them to sign up. It's very, very simple. And then we give them what we call a dashboard where they can see all the posts and they only approve the ones that are good. So if someone takes a blurry picture or a blurry video, they're not going to be paid. If someone posts a picture of a pizza on Soda Boss's campaign, they're not going to be paid. So there's quality control, and it's only about saying positive things. This is not Yelp. Our users are not there to tell people that the soda is no good.
That's really interesting how they can approve. Now, they approve the posts that are paid, so there might be some, posts that the people make. So maybe they can go back and update their post or something, or they can make a new post.
That's what we do. So think about how in the early days of Uber, if someone had told you, "Hey, I'm going to get into a car with a stranger that I met on the internet," the first time you heard that, you'd tell your friend, "No, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think you should get in a car with a stranger that you met on the internet." But now Uber has created a brand and a community where we have a trust that the person they're going to send to us is going to do what we're paying them to do, and we're going to be safe. So we're doing the same thing with our community, is that we do have people that try to get around the rules and not do it right. And we convert those people to being good users. So we communicate with them. We say, thank you for downloading the app. If you post a picture of the Voss soda, then we'd be and it's clear and it's in focus, or a video, we'd be happy to pay you for that. But you posted a picture of your sock in your bedroom, and we're not going to approve that for payment.
Yeah, that's definitely a sock in your bedroom,
which has happened.
I'm just going to leave that joke alone. The comedy I can do off that. Anyway, so they can approve the posts in the back, and then can they ask for more? I think you said from the consumer. They can build a relationship maybe with them.
Exactly. Yes. The way we explain this to the brand is we say, once you run a Thumzup campaign and once several hundred posts have been made, you're going to see who your super fans are. Okay. Because you're going to, if you get 200 people to post, you're going to see that 10 of them posted 5 times or 7 times. So they love you. Okay. You've got their cell phone number. You've got their Instagram handle. So communicate with them, give them special promotions, and they can do all that outside of Thumzup. So we're giving the brand access to know for sure who really loves them, so that they can send them, new products and develop a relationship with them, invite them to in-store events, that kind of thing.
Now, I see in the app there's something called brands and freelancers. What's the freelancer part?
Oh, Chris, you're a very good interviewer. So, yes, so we think that this could be huge potential here. So one of the freelancers that's in the app is a musician named Eric Gray. So Eric Gray is a professional musician, and I'm sure you're familiar with the fact that it's not the easiest way to make a living. He's very talented, jazz guitar player. And he played for a while. He was on Venice Beach on the boardwalk with his guitar case out there. You can't really sell CDs anymore. So he's got his QR code there, and his goal is to get people to stream his music on Spotify and Apple Music. And he paid for the Thumzup campaign. He bought 100 posts to pay $5. So that's cost $650. And he told us that before Thumzup, that there was no way that he could find to grow his Instagram following, and his Instagram following has grown 20x since he started using Thumzup. So think how many freelancers there are out there trying to get visibility. He loves Thumzup. We have a testimonial from him on our YouTube channel. And so we think that is really powerful for entrepreneurs of every sort.
So you don't have to be Coke or Pepsi or, some big, giant, multi-billion-dollar brand to be able to do this.
Yes.
Even a little guy can take part.
Exactly.
And that's really great. I mean, that's where you originally saw back in the day, Facebook advertising really take off, because, anybody could run an ad and afford to run an ad too, and depend upon the pricing. But yeah, I mean, I love this because really, a lot of those, I think a lot of those reviews get picked up by Google. Do they get picked up and included in Google, or is it?
So most of these are Instagram posts. So there's some terminology here. So the Federal Trade Commission would call TripAdvisor and Yelp reviews. They've actually recently been clear that it's not legal to pay someone for a review. Google Maps, those are reviews. What we're doing is social media posts. So you can be paid to post about a product on your personal social media to your friends, as long as you've experienced the product. So it's similar to a review, but it's different because because this is your, just like you have your podcast, everyone who has a social media account, they have a small audience. You've got a big audience, but they have a small audience. So they're just telling their small audience about our advertiser, which is it's similar to a review, but it's different. It's more like a shout out to your friends about what you're up to. I'm here listening to Eric Gray. I'm drinking a soda Bossa. So it's more like a slice of life type concept.
So if I'm a brand and I run one of these campaigns on your app, is there, someone wants to post about my brand, but let's say they only have 5 followers on their Instagram account or whatever. They have a real small footprint. Is there a minimum thing where I could be like, you really have to have some pull with some numbers of followers?
Yes, the default is 50, but the advertiser can set it to whatever they want. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to activate the general public. That's why we encourage the advertisers to consider starting at that small level. Mm-hmm. But the advertiser can use Thumzup however they want. So they could set the minimum to 50,000 and they could pay $500. Mm-hmm. It's set up to do that. But that's not necessarily the market we're going after, because there's actually a lot of existing professional influencer marketplaces. Mm-hmm. So our vision is to encourage them to have the lower follower count and the smaller payout and get the trust factor. Because when the everyday person who's not a professional influencer posts about a product, the data shows that the response rate is higher. So they've got less of an audience, but their audience is really paying attention. So we're essentially aggregating that and making it so that they can get the effect by more posts made by people with smaller follower counts.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are like, if they love a brand, they're going to make posts anyway, but sometimes the added incentive to make a buck or two, or you get a free latte or something out of it, I guess. It gives you that extra push. Because I've had a lot of people tell me, I'm planning on reviewing that or whatever, and they just never get around to it. And maybe this can give them that little extra bump to finalize that review, because people are
exactly
they got things to do.
That's it.
They got to watch Kardashians and The Bachelor, I guess, evidently. It's really, real important to watch that, but don't bother to vote. Anyway, it's interesting the priorities people make in their lives. But, this gives them that incentive to do it. What was the component that kind of brought this idea to you? And you're like, hey, I think we can make some traction with this.
I personally am a musician. I play guitar, keyboards, sing, write songs. Lived in LA for more than 20 years. A lot of people come here aspiring to big things, but in the meantime, they're driving for Uber, doing a little graphic design, waiting tables. As a technologist, the last bull market was really driven by Facebook and Google. And so I thought there must be some way to distribute and share the wealth and make it so that my friends who need a little extra money can get paid to promote brands and things that they like. There must be some way to connect them to that $200 billion social media marketing and advertising industry. Mm-hmm. So when I started thinking about it, the first concept was, we'll build an app that pays them to watch ads. Okay. Mm-hmm. Why didn't we do that? Because that's not fun. All right. So we kept thinking about it, and that ended up with this workflow that we have here, where they can pick brands that they're interested in and businesses that they're interested in. They can find businesses that they're interested in, because our app is designed for physical business like a treasure hunt. Mm-hmm. So really the goal was to allow the general public to participate financially in this huge digital advertising marketplace. And we have people right now that tell us that this is food money, that this is putting food on their table. And that's a win-win, because their content's great. The advertisers love the content, and they're telling us that Thumzup is buying dinner for them.
Yeah. And if you're picking up an extra grand, that is dinner. Anyway,
yep.
I'm doing jokes, people. It's not that bad yet if you're watching 10 years from now. Although 10 years from now, it might be that bad. So you guys work it out on YouTube. I always have to say that, because on YouTube, they're like, they say stuff like 10, 15 years later. I think we've been on there for 20 years on YouTube. And they make comments. It's funny. I didn't like your review of the iPhone 5. It's 2024, people. Why are you watching those videos? But you've raised more than $30 million in financing over 3 technology companies you built and done a lot of technology stuff. What advice do you have for burgeoning entrepreneurs? Maybe how to raise money, how to stick it in there, so that they can, stick in through the rejection and all that sort of stuff that goes on with trying to be successful.
Oh, sure. That's my number one advice. If I could go back, I was a .com era CEO. I was really early in the mobile space. Mm-hmm. And the reality is that I gave up. And that is the number one thing, is don't give up. Yes, it's hard. It can be very, very difficult, but you have to stick with it, and you have to take care of yourself. And the other thing that's tough is that your friends and family are often not going to understand what you're doing. Okay. And like I got a lot of motivation when this project was hard. Right now we have $8 million in the bank. It wasn't always like that here. And I got a lot of motivation from this Elon Musk video where in the crash of 2007, 2008, he had, as I understand it from his video, he had put all of his personal money into Tesla and SpaceX, zero revenue, huge employee base, going to zero, no money, and the economy tanks. And he, as I understand the story, sleeping on a friend's couch, and he's calling investors, and they're giving him the F-bomb, like when he's pitching. So that really helped me, because if they gave Elon the F-bomb, then I can do this.
Yeah. I think he had to really scramble. He almost lost everything at one point, I believe.
Yeah. So it's a mind game. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Yeah. And now he's running the country. Yeah. Let's see. And you mentioned take care of yourself. To expand on that a little bit, because I think I know what that means.
Well, people who do this sort of thing tend to be, the workaholic type. Yeah. But, if it's all work, you're going to burn out. Yeah. So you've got to find the entrepreneurial journey of this type. You really have to take care of your body. I walk never less than 3 miles a day. Try not to eat potato chips and ice cream. And have some sort of spiritual. I think it's very important to get outside of yourself and be helpful to people. So I all throughout my entrepreneurial journey, I've always volunteered. Got out there, helped people. So even when there's no money in the bank and things are looking really, really tough, I take time to go out and help somebody else. And otherwise, that's part of why you might give up, is if you're not taking care of yourself, you don't have the hope. You can lose the hope if you're not out, taking care of yourself.
Yeah, you got to have balance, right? Mm-hmm. A balance in life, and it's hard as entrepreneurs because you live the business 24/7. We talked about this on a prior podcast yesterday. You eat it, you dream it. I was, people have heard in my audience how I joke about how it seemed like a decade. It was a lot of years, but I would dream about what was going on in business the next day, who I was firing, what meetings I would have, and I would just long to. I'm like, can I just have a dream of a puppy running through a field or a beautiful girl on a beach, Bo Derek or something right? And it would be none of that. And every now and then I have a dream of something else, and I'd be like so relieved. I'm like, oh God, it's so nice. But yeah, 24/7, you're an entrepreneur. You dream about it. It eats up your life. I made the mistake early on, starting my first companies, of putting my health second. And, one of our first big companies was the courier company, and so we were in a car for 18 hours a day, and doing deliveries and pickups. And I was eating at fast food restaurants, and man, my weight ballooned, and my health has been really good. I'm kind of amazed actually for all I've done, but knock on wood. But still, I put on weight, and it's hard to get that weight back off, and it's hard to correct some of the health issues. Yeah, I think it's a really important message to entrepreneurs. You created the first software to view Microsoft PowerPoint and AOL MapQuest on mobile devices. What's this AOL you speak of? No. I had AOL 1.0, I think, at one point.
Yeah, back in the day before the iPhone, the Palm was the first real smartphone that had a large following. Yeah. This is in the .com era. So I built software called iBright, and at that time we called it complex content. So I built a kind of like a browser and server type architecture that allowed you to put real sophisticated content on a Palm smartphone. So yes, the first time you could use AOL MapQuest, Steve Case is a very smart guy, and I really followed how he did what he did back then. But yes, I was able to put digital maps, interactive maps on a smartphone for the first time with a partnership with AOL. And at the CES show in the year 2000, you saw my smiling face in the Palm booth with the Palm logo behind me and the Microsoft logo behind me, and I was showing people PowerPoint on a smartphone for the first time. I've done some fun things.
Those are the days. I remember my friend Andy Grignon. He helped build the original iPhone and went to Palm to help build their thing. Steve Jobs was not happy about it. But they put out a product that was supposed to rival the iPhone. I think if I remember rightly, didn't the Palm CEO, he was on stage one time and he said he'd never used an iPhone, and people were kind of aghast, like, how did you not analyze your competitor?
Yeah, one of the challenge, now we're talking about almost ancient history, but the thing that really was tough for me, and I think, other entrepreneurs might be interested in this, is that you do have to pick a platform as a technologist. Like with Thumzup, we really have invested a lot in Instagram, and there's a risk when you tie your future to one of these technologies. So that was the challenge with Palm, is that for whatever reason, at the top of the leadership of the company, they were really proud of the fact that people didn't have to pay for the software. So they missed the reason why the PC took off, because entrepreneurs could make money writing software for the Apple II. They could make money writing software for the IBM PC. So when the Palm leadership came out and said, you don't have to pay our software company, I had raised $4.5 million to build a software company to only make software for the Palm. So talking about aghast, I'm like, he said, what? People don't have to pay for the software for the Palm. It should be free. And then, the rest is history. What was one of the first things that Steve Jobs did with the iPhone is he said, you're going to pay for apps. We're going to have an app store. So that was tough.
Yeah. And it burgeoned a ton of entrepreneurs that made apps for a long time and all those things. Yeah. It kind of became app nauseum at one point that like everybody had an app. I think our show had an app. I had an app. I don't even know where those apps went. But it's pretty wild in entrepreneurism. You've inspired some people and hopefully given some people some ideas on how to go to the next level. Anything more we need to touch on for Thumzup that we haven't maybe covered?
Sure. Thanks for asking, Chris. I really do think that for your audience, that they may want to take a look at the stock. Stock symbol's TZUP, Tom, Zebra, Umbrella, Paul. If you've heard this story and you think it's possible that Thumzup could do for social media advertising what Uber did for ride sharing, then, if you got involved with Uber's stock at the stage that we're at, you'd be up 1,000 times on your money. My job is to do that. And so we'd love to have your audience pick up a little stock and go on this ride with us.
So you can make money two ways. Possibly. So thank you very much for coming to the show. Give people the final .coms. Where can they onboard and reach out if they have any questions, et cetera, et cetera?
Sure. So the company's thumbzupmedia.com, THUMZUPMEDIA.com. And the stock symbol is NASDAQ, TZUP, Tom, Zebra, Umbrella, Paul. So anywhere that you can buy Apple and Amazon, you can buy Thumzup.
Thank you very much for coming to the show. We really appreciate your insights.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. And thanks very much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss one, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. And maybe we'll get on Thumzup, see if we can pay people to listen to the show. My audience is like, what? We could have got paid for this crap? Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.